Don't believe the hype. So many of us fall into the trap of believing the hype others tell us. Today, you won't hear any hype, only the facts. This program is about education. You will hear it many times during this program. A college education may be the only way to have a secure future in today's marketplace. Now is the time for young people of color to reach out and embrace education. So many are dying in the streets, dying from addiction to drugs, or dying through a life of missed opportunities because of lack of education. The age of slavery is over, but these conditions chain the young black teens into another form of slavery. The time to educate yourself is now.
Education is our passport to the future. Tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. Becoming motivated for education is the same as becoming motivated for success.
Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., and many other civil rights leaders have paved the way for you to get an educational opportunity.
And I am eternally grateful to the things that Dr. Martin Luther King accomplished, because if it wasn't for him, the opportunity for me to get an education, the opportunity for me to get a job, the opportunity for me to stand up here and speak may not be a realization. Dr. King entered into college at the age of 15. Certainly he saw the necessity of a good education.
And you know, what they've done is that they've opened the door of opportunity. Something that maybe your grandparents didn't have, something maybe your parents didn't have, but you're the fortunate ones. You know, you're getting a college education. And I bet if we went around the room and asked, there'd be a good number of you that would say that your parents don't have a college degree. But they're wanting you to have that. And Dr. Martin Luther King wanted you to have that. And he didn't open the door just for restaurants in America or public office. He opened the door for the future, your future. And that future is going to be determined not by your race or the color of your skin, but by the talent and skill and education you possess.
Today's black youth have an obstacle that was not present 25 years ago when the civil rights movement was at its peak: progress in technology. Today's job requires much more skill and training than did the same job 5 or 10 years ago. The computer has entered the workforce, from McDonald's to NASA. Nearly every job in the country requires the use of a computer-based technology. Many jobs that accepted a high school diploma just a few years ago are asking applicants to have at least a 2-year degree, and sometimes a 4-year degree from a college, trade school, or business school.
Many black Americans are not finishing high school. Enrollment in college is also decreasing. It is becoming more and more difficult to attend college. And with the fast trends of the United States and technology constantly rising, it is very important to have a college education. Where will these uneducated people be in the future?
The decision is yours. We are the sole source of our destiny. From the 17th century until 1964, when the Civil Rights Bill was passed, our ancestors did not have a choice. Today, February the 14th, 1991, we have a choice. I am here to tell you, we have a choice. We are no longer in bondage. We need to decide, what is it that we want? Will we be good, better, or the best? But we will never let it rest until our good is better and our better is best.
Martin Luther King said it best. He said, if you are in a foot race and you're behind, you have to run just much more faster than that person in front of you to catch up with them. And he said, when your white roommate decides to go to bed at night, you stay up and burn the midnight oil. That doesn't mean burn the midnight oil partying. It doesn't mean burning the midnight oil talking to your friends, but you stay up and burn the midnight oil by studying.
Colleges around the nation have programs and departments to assist their minority population. Many schools have a minority affairs office or advising program. These people are there to assist you in adjusting to college life, adjusting to the culture shock you may experience, and create an environment that would allow you to develop a family-type relationship with others going through similar changes and difficulties. One program that has been a real success is a mentor program. The mentor program hooks a student up with a successful faculty and staff members. This enables the student to learn how to become a successful professional.
In the late 50s and 60s, the civil rights movement was about at its height, and black Americans wanted egalitarianism. There was a strong drive for education. Black leaders preached education. In the 70s, black Americans who had the opportunities to get educated, began to reap the benefits. They began to have better homes, get better positions, and they began to realize the importance of education because they began to reap the benefits.
Something changed during the 80s and early 90s. Crime rose, drug use rose as crack made its way into the hands of our youth, and violent death among black males rose. It has been said that during the 100 hours of ground battle in Operation Desert Storm, the average black soldier was safer in the desert than he was in the streets in front of his house.
Right. I went home so many times. Oh, so many of my friends got killed. And still, they call me a sellout because, you know, I hang around so-and-so, and I hang around this white guy, this Mexican guy, or this black guy. Oh, you a sellout, Duck, chill. And next thing I say, next thing you know, they dead. You know, so they all get shot. So, you know, I mean, it's rough no matter where you go. Life's gonna be like that. You got the good people, you got the bad people. But I told them, I said, you know, for those who say, well, I ain't gonna come back, I said, well, at least you working. If you ain't gonna come to college, get a job. It ticks me off because, you know, they got all that talent and all that, you know, the talent goes to waste. You know, let's say, you know, somebody's an artist or something, and they let it go to waste. Or they be on the streets. It's majority of them who don't come to school or something, they on the street, they got 4 or 5 kids. And you know, hey man, I got 4 or 5 babies, man. What's up? What you doing? You in college, all that. I said, well, where you working at? Oh, well, I got 4 or 5 kids. Where you working at? Well, hey, my kids looking nice. Where you working at? And you know, and here it is, man, getting 4 or 5 Father Day cards, ain't got no job. And if it ain't that, then you know they resting in peace.
And I think one of the main reasons for this lack of education motivation among young black youth is because of the change in values. Many people are just not motivated for education. Even the role models have changed. People used to look up to Martin Luther King, Booker T. Washington. Now everybody wants to be Bo Jackson or Michael Jordan. People are looking for quick gratification. There is no quick gratification in education.
Many promising student athletes are offered scholarships to play college athletics, and that is all many of them end up doing. When players fall into a slump, get injured, or most important of all, fail to keep up their grades, many lose their scholarship and go home without an education. These people limit themselves and have only memories to show for their college careers. You must get an education while you're in athletics. Make the most of your educational opportunities. Seeing the need to improve yourself through higher education is only half of the battle. For many young black teens, once the decision is made, the student must combat peer pressure, economic pressure, and the pressure from the self, the inferiority complexes that arise.
You mustn't allow an inferiority complex to hold you back. We're so used to entertaining it. We're so used to entertaining and say, well, that's racism, and then we sit back and do nothing because that person's being racist, so I can't do anything. I can't make a good grade. But as individuals, and you know that there's somebody out there who's going to be against you because of the color of your skin, you cannot allow that to stop you. You cannot allow that to bother your studies. You cannot allow that to bother your person. your intellect, for all those things are yours. They can call you whatever they want to call you, but only you can let it kill you. Only you can let it kill you. You have something to be proud of. You have a history that shows people who have achieved. You have a history that shows individuals have achieved. You have something to be proud of. And you have to take pride in yourself as well. We can't just honor Martin Luther King and then sit here and do poorly in school. That's stupid. We can't do that. We can't sit there and recognize Malcolm X and his contribution and then sit up here and do poorly in school. Stupid again. I mean, you're honoring individuals who are basically intellectuals.
And some would say today that America is still a racist society. And maybe you've experienced that. Maybe you still feel that. But wouldn't that even be a greater reason to have good education? So that people can't judge you just by the color of your skin, or can't judge you just by the faith that you believe, or can't judge you what country you came from. You're going to demand that they judge you by what you can do. When you walk in and you apply for that job, they're going to be looking at your talent and the education and skills you possess. They're not going to ask you how old you are. They're not going to wonder which country you're from. They're going to see that you got it, and you got that knowledge and expertise, and that's what they want.
So far in this program, we have focused mainly on the negative things that can drag a young black teen down. You have a proud heritage with a history of successful African American men and women. You can be successful too. You don't have to fall into the bad habits. You can choose success by choosing an education.
I went to college. Well, first of all, I was running track in high school. I was a pretty good track runner. And I always wanted to go to school. It was, you know, one of those things where I was never a street person. I was always out doing something. I ran track since I was 11, 12 years old. I would go home from high school, right to the track, homework, you know, in the house, sleep, get up the next morning, same thing over again. So I went there, you know, because it was the thing to do by the time I became like 16, 17 years old. My dreams and goals that I had before coming to college, I wanted to go to the 1984 Olympics. That was the only thing I wanted to do. I didn't think about jobs. I was running track. I went to Junior Olympics when I was 17. I wanted to go to the Olympics when I was, you know, in 1984, when I would have been like about 21, 22. And no, I didn't do it. No, I didn't go to the Olympics. I just started doing comedy. You know, you get like 4 years. Every 4 years, it seems like you make a decision to do something, you know. And when I didn't make the trials, I just said, hey, you know, I'm not going to run all my life to try to do this. I tried it, you know. Didn't work out, so then I started doing the comedy, which has pretty much worked out. Because like when I was younger, I always knew I would try it. But 17, you know, my eyes were set on college. I really just put that aside. You know, I knew I would try, but I figured there's time to try that still, you know. So when I got to be 20, 21, you know, I figured, you know, I'm supposed to be grown now. I think I should do that comedy thing. I think I should try that. So I tried that 6, 7 months before I finished school. Opportunity, I think, you know, if you go to school, I think you make your own opportunities a lot. I never got into the thing about, you know, well, you know, it ain't for me, they're not trying to help me and this and that, you know. I got friends that have dropped out, you know, out of high school, and 100% of them, nowhere. They have, you know, they can't even walk into an establishment where they would like to work and give this person some reason to hire them, you know. And that's where it comes from. You really have no tools. You have nothing. Why should they hire you? You have nothing. I think it's very essential, very much so. Especially when you're 17, 18, you come out of high school, you just start growing right then, you know. Because, you know, I didn't know anything when I came out of high school. I thought I did. I was 17, 18, I'm walking around. I just graduated from high school, you know, so what? You just get it on with your life. Go do some more, keep learning. So yeah, I would recommend it highly. Don't believe the hype about the peer pressure, whatever your friends are saying, this and that. Most of the things that your friends say, you should do this, you should do that. If you have just an inch of doubt, you know, don't do it. Because I used to hate peer pressure. It made me so sick. I would rebel against anything that remotely looked like peer pressure, you know. I never did drugs, I never drank, you know, it's just, I mean, I had a few beers in college, but when I was in high school, you know, it was just like a no-no. My advice would be just, you know, try to find everything to do that's positive, you know. And it's little negative stuff. I know, you know, you're young, you're a teenager, you're gonna get into a little bit of mischief, but, you know, when it gets bad, you know, just get out. And how do you know it gets bad? Well, anything, all the, you know, don't do drugs and all the, you know, everybody knows drugs are bad, you know. There's no reason to ever do it. Any excuse that you can think of, well, it was because, you know, this and that, it's all null. Just forget that. It's never a good reason to get into anything like that. A lot of people try things once or twice. If you really want something, you just keep trying it, you know. Like comedy, for me now, is my lifestyle. It's not something I do, I gave myself 3 or 4 years to do. This time, I just went and said, you know, I kind of like this. And I saw that it was going to be hard because I saw other people who have made it, who have been in it for like 10 years and 11 years when I first got into the business, which made me think this is going to have to be a commitment type of thing. You know, so my recipe for success would be just, you know, find something you love, just stick with it, no matter what.
Regina McCord came from a rural setting. She never dreamed she would be competing in the Miss Indiana pageant, a preliminary for the Miss America pageant. If Regina had dropped out of high school or been involved with things other than promoting her education, she would have never had the chance to compete in the Miss Vincennes University Scholarship pageant or the Miss Indiana pageant.
The main reason I was in the Miss VU pageant is because of my voice instructor, Linda Tucker. I'm not really a pageant person, and she told me that I was going to do it. Basically, I could pick out my song and what I was going to wear, but I didn't have a choice as to whether I was going to run or not. I was really nervous. It was my first experience at such a level. I wasn't used to anything being in front of that large a crowd and on television and such. But I was more interested in having fun. It wasn't particularly the winning or even the placing, but just having a good time, and I really did my first year. I had a really good time. The next year was easier because I knew what to expect, and it was kind of more, I could help the other girls because a lot of them hadn't been in it before, and it was more relaxing, so I wasn't as stressed out. I knew to pace myself, and I didn't have to sing full out every time I was on stage with not only solo, but with the concert choir and everything. And it was more fun the second year because I wasn't so scared. And I'm always nervous on stage, but I wasn't nearly as scared as I was before I knew what to expect. And up until the last minute, it was all exciting. It was very exciting. The very first thing, we had to start shopping for clothes. And I had to have clothes for every day wear. I had to have clothes for luncheons and dinners. I had to have performing attire and shoes and jewelry. So the first thing we did was went shopping. Then of course there's the getting ready as far as what are you going to do with your hair, and you have to exercise to get your body in shape, and you have to talk to people to get your mind in shape, and watch the news and read magazines and newspapers, so you can talk to people on an intelligent level. The reason I wanted to go to college, first of all, was because I was one of the first in my family to go to college, and it was really important to me as well as to my parents. You can't do anything without an education these days. I mean, there are certain jobs, yeah, and some people are lucky enough to get in a high-paying job without an education. But as far as just your basic entry-level positions, you have to have a college degree of some sort, whether it be in computer technology or general studies. As if you have it, it's going to help you. It's going to be that first step, and it's necessary. There's very little you can do these days without an education.
David Lala came to college with one purpose, to party. After a single semester, he had dropped out confused and bitter. He decided the Marine Corps will be his solution to getting ahead in life. In the years David spent in the military, he had time to think about his life, the confinement of the military, and sometimes the racism in the military, and what he was searching for. David was in Saudi Arabia during Desert Shield and Desert Storm. He didn't see any fighting, but 2 of his friends were killed. Upon his return home, David made plans to return to college he had left. A few years older and wiser, David realized his missed opportunities and had a chance to get them back. Before entering the fall semester, David was approached by a record company. While his songs played at radio stations around the country, David stayed in school.
Well, my first year at Vincennes, I was crazy, rambunctious, didn't care about too much, and got me in a lot of trouble. Alcohol, drugs, you know, being nonchalant, not going to my classes at all, and I just didn't do well, and that's why I left. I thought I could do whatever I wanted to do, and ever since I was young, I was always doing what I wanted to do. My mother, I very seldom got in trouble. Every time I did something wrong, my mother didn't really discipline me. She let me get away with too much when I was young. And when I came to school, it just even got worse because I had all this freedom. I had to, tell my parents where I was going. I had to do anything. I was my own man when I got to school, and that's why what led to the reason why I left. And education for me is so important because I could have had it already. My graduating class graduated last year, and I should have been there with them. And I sit here and think about the time I wasted while I was in school, and I see all the benefits. I see all the things that these kids are getting handed to them now in school that I'm missing out on because I'm in the military. You know something? Whether he's white, black, Hispanic, or whatever, I tell him, knowledge is power. But with education, you can rise and rise and rise. You never know when you could be the next Donald Trump. Who knows? But as with an education and vice versa, the military, education, of course, going to college, number one choice. If I could do it all over again, I'd have stayed in school. I'd have been graduating last year. I'd probably been in Harvard by now somewhere, but And no, I ain't gonna turn my back on education because this means something to the black community. For me to get my education, to me to help them, to help the community move forward instead of backwards. Nah, it'd be just like me turning my back on my people, and I can't see that happening. And today's world is corrupt, and I've been out there. I'm only 21, and I'm probably gonna see more than anyone's gonna see in the rest of their lifetime. And I don't want no one else to go through what I had to go through. And it just won't be right. If I could prevent it, and if I have to die, to make everyone see this, and I'll do that. Because like Dr. Martin Luther King said, you don't have nothing to die for, you have no reason to live. And that's how I feel.
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype of gangs. It will only get you killed. Don't believe the hype of drugs. They will only get you addicted and then killed. Don't believe the hype of dropping out of school. It won't get you anywhere. Believe in your education. It will be your success. Talk to your high school counselor or contact the college of your choice. See the possibilities that are ahead of you and work towards them. Everything is within your reach if you don't believe the hype.